What is the number one problem in America? The national debt. But most Americans just don't care. Give me 5 minutes and I'll show you why the national debt isn't just a number, it's a symbol of our broken economy and our broken culture. So here's a few numbers to keep in mind as we have this discussion. First, the national debt, it's about $36 trillion. That means you, each individual in America, owes about $100,000. Interest payments are about $1 trillion per year. That's insane. That's more than our federal defense budget. And then the third thing I'd like you to keep in mind is that states get about 30% of their budgets from the federal government, a complete scam that we're going to talk a little bit more about in this episode. All right. Welcome, America, to the Shrink DC Save America podcast. I'm Patrick Trepanier, author of American Restraint. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Really helps get the word out about this show. So why is the national debt our number one problem? It's not just federal debt. Americans, we're addicted to borrowing. We have multiple problems, not just the national debt. We've got student loan debt, that's about 1.6 trillion. We've got credit card debt, about 1.3 trillion. We've got auto loan debt of about 1.6 trillion, mortgage debt of about $12 trillion. And then medical debt, it's the number one cause of bankruptcy in America. So all of these numbers plus that $36 trillion just ginormous number, they're all examples of our addiction to borrowing. But here's the deeper problem with the national debt. The national debt says, the size of it really just says, we want everything from the federal government. Solve everything for us. Wars, housing, cheap energy, subsidized college, childcare, without paying for it. We've outsourced our personal and community responsibility to DC. And we're borrowing trillions to just maintain this kind of fantasy. Also, I think a really interesting analogy about the national debt, it's kind of a mirror. It's a mirror showing us what we've become. A country that expects someone else way far away in Washington, D.C. to solve our problems in our local communities and families that we should handle ourselves. So, on this show, we like to talk about solutions, not just complain, right? What's the structural solution? A constitutional amendment to balance the budget. It's important because it forces DC to live within its means. We'll also stop dumping debt onto future generations, which I think is just frankly immoral. And it'll also end this $1 trillion a year interest payment insanity that we've got right now. Here's the innovative part, the part I'd like to kind of add to the balanced budget amendment that maybe some of you haven't heard about before. End federal grants to the states. This is the scam that most people don't really see right now. You see, right now, states send tax money to DC, and then DC takes a massive cut in form of the giant federal bureaucracy, right? And then DC returns that money to the states, of course, with strings attached. This, again, about 30% of every state's budget. You can look this up, right? About 30% of every state's budget comes from DC. It just doesn't make sense for this money to go back and forth like this. Education grants, transportation grants, healthcare grants, housing grants, all of these grants coming from DC, they should be coming from the states. States should tax and spend without getting Washington, D.C. involved. So how will these initiatives, the balanced budget amendment and ending D.C. grants to states, shrink the debt? Number one, it'll dramatically reduce the federal budget. Number two, it's going to eliminate the federal bureaucracy overhead. Number three, it'll return power closer to the people. And number four, this is the one everyone loves. It will reduce your federal taxes, right? If the budget gets reduced, your taxes have to get reduced, right? Okay, so that's all for this episode. I hope that talking a little bit more about the balanced budget amendment as part of the national debt and this scam of DC giving block grants to states. I hope you've learned a little bit here. I hope you'll come closer to my way of thinking that we really have to do something about the national debt. It's symbolic of everything that's broken in the United States culturally and economically because we can't take of our own financial problems. So how can you take action, right? How can you do something about this? Congress is not going to balance their budget voluntarily. We have to force them to do this. They benefit from the status quo, right? Convention of States can force this amendment. 19 of 34 states already signed it. We just need 15 more. Go to conventionofstates.com, contact your state legislature. We just need 15 more states to get over the hump so that we can call a convention of states. Article 5, it's in the Constitution. The bottom line is the national debt represents our national addiction to avoiding hard choices. The Balanced Budget Amendment forces us to grow up. America can be fixed. It can. I totally believe that. But only if we choose restraint and structural reform. All right, that's all for today. Have a great day, America.